Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Today, here for a special treat, we're going to review the best horror films of all time from the year 2004. All right, we've already covered 2000 to 2003. Now, these are the best horror films that scared everybody worldwide in the year 2004. Real quick, click subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm Tony, and let's get started, all right? We're going to now go over all the films that scared us all in the year 2004. Here we go. Right, 666, The Demon Child. A mysterious egg hatches into a demon. Scientists try to find the source of the egg, for fear the world will be overwhelmed by a horde of the monsters. Horror. Again, 666, The Child. After a plane crash where a boy is the only survivor, a childless couple adopts him and soon discover he is evil. 666, The Child. Adam and Evil. Slasher horror. A group of sexy high school graduates are ready for a weekend of serious partying at a remote campground. Soon, a murderer is on the loose. I love how they always have a group of teenagers, right? Unseen Evil 2. After a series of brutal, unexplained murders in a remote forest, a rogue military unit is recruited to hunt for whoever or whatever. Unseen Evil 2, horror and sci-fi. Alien 51, horror and sci-fi. An alien creature escapes from a research lab at the infamous Area 51, determined to hunt down its former tormentors. Alien 51. This movie will not disappoint. Among Us. B-movie director Billy D'Amato has made a career out of horror movies, but when he meets a real monster in the woods on a shoot, he is forced to reevaluate and fight for his life. Among Us. Anacondas, The Hunt for the Blood Orchid. I love this movie. A scientific expedition sets out for the Borneo to seek a flower called the blood orchid, which could grant longer life. Meanwhile, they run afoul of a killer snake. Art of the Devil. When Boom suffers abandonment and abuse by Prathan, she decides to use black magic to take revenge on him and his family. Horror, mystery, and thriller. Art of the Devil. Attack of the Virgin Mummies. When a lunatic murders the 3 daughters of the pharaoh, he faces an awful death. Centuries later, his mummy returns to create mayhem, and the 3 sisters return to stop him. Attack of the Virgin Mummies. Alien vs. Predator. We love this movie. During an archaeological expedition on Bouvier Island in Antarctica, a team of archaeologists are caught up in a battle between 2 legends. Alien vs. Predator is a scorcher. I love watching that movie once a year. Bite Me. When a hybrid strain of bioengineered marijuana is delivered to a secluded strip club, it brings with it a monstrous army of insect creatures and a renegade U.S. federal agent with a big chip on his shoulder. Bite Me. Blade Trinity. Blade, now a wanted man by the FBI, must join forces with the Night Stalkers to face his most challenging enemy, Dracula. Next up we have is Blood Gnome. When Daniel, a crime scene investigator, discovers the truth behind a series of bizarre sex murders, no one believes him. Blood Gnome. This was straight to video, released in 2004. Blue Demon. Action, adventure, and horror. When sharks come from afar searching for food, find a beach for a meal. A group of people must stop them before they head for the beach. Will they make it? Blue Demon. Straight to video. Boa vs. Python. Straight to video. After a genetically altered python escapes, a scientist is enlisted to help kill it by releasing a giant boa constrictor that he owns. Boa vs. Python. That's pretty cool, huh? Bone Sickness. Again, straight to video. Kristen is caring for her terminally ill husband, who is suffering from a degenerative bone disease. With no cure available, she turns to a friend to help find an alternate form of medicine that has unimaginable side effects. Rottweiler. Dante travels across a desolate, futuristic Spain in search of his girlfriend, Ula. He is pursued by a bloodthirsty, cybernetic Rottweiler. Body horror, monster horror, horror. This movie is a scorcher. Calvaire. Mark, a traveling entertainer, is on his way home from Christmas when his van breaks down in the middle of Jerkwater Town with some strange inhabitants. Drama, horror, and thriller. Calvaire. Camp Slaughter. Straight to video. Camp Days takes you back to the days of tube socks, bong hits, and short shorts. Throw in some quiet summer camp full of blood and mayhem and watch the fun unfold. So they're taking you back to the 70s. Carmilla, the lesbian vampire. Two of Horrordome's most feared creatures against one another. When young Jenna becomes affected by a mysterious vampiric disease, she begins to hallucinate. Vampires versus zombies. Centipede. A group of cave explorers are menaced by giant centipedes. Adventure, horror, and sci-fi. Centipede. Actually, this was either right straight to cable or in the movie theaters, but it wasn't straight to video. Chainsaw Sally. A young woman traumatized after witnessing the murder of her parents as a young girl grows up to be a serial killer who gets her inspiration for killing from horror films. Chainsaw Sally. Comedy, horror, and thriller. Club Dread. When a serial killer interrupts the fun at swanky Coconut Beach Resort, a hedonistic island paradise for swingers, it's up to the club staff to stop the violence, or at least hide it. Corpses. Through pure luck, small-town mortician Fred has discovered a serum that can revive a corpse for an hour at a time. Realizing the possibilities of his discovery, Fred plans to resurrect an army of the living dead to do his evil bidding. Creep. I love this movie. Trapped in a London subway station, a woman who's been being pursued by a potential attacker heads into an unknown labyrinth of tunnels beneath the city streets. This movie is scary and creepy. I love it. It's called Creep. Creep Tales. Straight to video. On Halloween night, two shabby, dim-witted hunchbacks dig up the Anthology horror video, Creep Tales, that was buried with the Uncle Munger, and show it to their dim-witted monster friends. Comedy, drama, fantasy, and horror. Cube Zero. A young programmer whose job it is to watch over the reality-warping cube defies orders to rescue an innocent mother trapped in one of its rooms. Cube Zero. Drama, mystery, horror, and sci-fi. The Curse of the Komodo. Genetically engineered Komodo dragons have become enormous creatures hunting people on a remote tropical island. Adventure, horror, and sci-fi. The Curse of the Komodo. See the theme of the 2004s? Big reptiles. Cursed. A werewolf loose in Los Angeles changes the lives of three young adults who, after being mauled by the beast, learn they must kill it in order to avoid becoming werewolves themselves. Supernatural, horror, and werewolf horror. Cursed. Dark Harvest. Terror strikes in the backwoods of Tennessee when an age-old curse resurfaces and takes revenge on a group of friends on a weekend getaway at a family cabin. Dark Harvest 3. Dark Spells. A group of archaeologists are determined to make digs on a ghost town to find an old book, ignoring that the town is cursed due to events occurred about 700 years ago. Horror and thriller. Dark Spells. Dark Harvest. This one's straight to video. A group of teenagers go to an inherited family farm only to be attacked by a killer scarecrow. Comedy and horror. There were a lot of movies in the series of Dark Harvest. Dark Harvest 1, 2, 3, Dark Hunters. They say the only thing you can depend upon is life or death. Charles Jackson is about to find out that that isn't true. Dying is a tricky process. Horror and mystery. Dark Hunters. Dawn of the Dead. I love this movie. A nurse, a policeman, a young married couple, a salesman, and other survivors of a worldwide plague that is producing aggressive flesh-eating zombies take refuge in a mega Midwestern shopping mall. Supernatural horror survival. Dead Birds. A group of Confederate soldiers hold up in an abandoned plantation after robbing a bank and find themselves at the mercy of supernatural forces. This movie is creepy and good. Supernatural horror, horror and thriller. Dead Clowns. Dead Clowns revolves around ordinary people in a small town in Florida. A hurricane has just slammed into the area, causing torrential downpours, with unknowns awakening the clowns that died in the bay of the town. Dead Clowns are reborn. Dead End Road. Detective Burt Williams has been on the trail of the infamous Poe killer for nearly 3 years. Dead End Road. Action, adventure, horror, and thriller. The Hazing. Several college kids spend the night in a spooky mansion in an attempt to pledge fraternities and sororities. A deranged professor begins murdering them. They must figure out why, and also if one or more of them are working with the killer. Dead and Breakfast. A night at a local bed and breakfast turns into a bloody supernatural fight to the death. Splatter horror, supernatural horror, Dead and Breakfast. Let me know if you saw that movie. I love it. Dead Meat. Not the YouTube channel, but look, Dead Meat. An infection spreads from slaughtered animals to humans, which causes the dead to rise and feed on the living. Action, comedy, horror, and sci-fi. Dead Meat. Death Valley, The Revenge of Bloody Bill. I love this movie. When a group of college kids stumble upon a small abandoned town of Sunset Valley, they must fight a band of zombies led by a soldier seeking retribution for his grisly execution. This movie was good. Decoys. Luke and Roger are just another couple of college guys trying to lose their virginity. But when Luke sees something unusual, he begins to suspect that the girls on campus aren't actually human. Decoys. Teen horror and horror. Deep Evil. After an incident occurs at a top-secret bio-research lab in remote Alaska, a team of skilled military operatives are sent to investigate whether this was an accident, an act of terror, or something else. Deep Evil. Knock it off, evil. Devilman. Based on a mild-mannered teenager, Akira, who emerges with a demon to fight other demons. Superhero, action, fantasy, and horror. Devilman. Dino Croc. After an African dinosaur ancestor of the crocodile is found, Dr. Campbell uses its DNA to create prototypes at Paula Kennedy's Greco lab. Dinosaur adventure and horror. Dino Croc. Dr. Moreau's House of Pain. Straight to video. In a big mansion, a scientist has been experimenting with humans and animals, mixing their DNA together. Horror. Dr. Moreau's House of Pain. Remember the island of Dr. Moreau? Dracula 3000. I love this movie. Count Dracula terrorizes the crew of a spaceship. Space sci-fi supernatural horror. This movie has a lot of jump scares. Kind of gory, but it's really good. You'll love it. Drowning Ghost. 3 students murdered at century-old boarding school. Killer drowned himself. Body never found. On the 100th anniversary of the killings, student researching incident vanishes. Drowning Ghost. The Uninvited Guest. In the dark corridors of Felix's house, an intruder is hiding. Is he real, or is he a manifestation inside the obscure maze of his mind? Drama, horror, mystery, and thriller. The Uninvited Guest. Evil Grave, Curse of the Maya. A couple purchases a house in the country only to find out a family was murdered. They uncover a curse which brings the dead back to life. It's Dawn of the Dead meets 28 Days Later. I love it. I love it. Evil Eyes. A screenwriter is plagued by nightmares as he writes a script about a family that was slaughtered years before. Evil Eyes. horror. This movie is good. Check it out. Exorcist, The Beginning. In 1947, having abandoned his faith, Father Marin joins an archaeological excavation in Kenya, where an ancient church has been unearthed and something much older waits to be awoken. Exorcist, The Beginning. Feeding the Masses. A dark, satiric horror film that takes an acid look at the current state of the news media while a mysterious plague is bringing the dead back to life. Feeding the Masses, this was straight to horror, in case you were wondering. Frankenfish, TV movie. A genetically altered fish wreaks havoc on a small fishing town. So someone's playing with fish and created a Frankenfish. Adventure and horror. Frankenstein. When a detective begins investigating a series of horrific murders, she is led to a mad doctor who has sustained his creature and himself for over 200 years through genetic experimentation. Crime, horror, mystery, and sci-fi. Ghost Lake. In a small town upstate New York, local residents were drowned as a dam was built and the town was flooded to create the Rushford Lake. 100 years later, the souls of the drowned are becoming restless and awake. Ghost Game. 7 friends go out to cabin for a weekend of relaxing and find a game that should not be opened. Ghost Game. This was straight to video. Back then in the 2000s, straight to video was all the rage. Remember, this is Blockbuster Video, Hollywood Video. Ginger Snaps 2 Unleashed. Ginger's sister Bridget, now a werewolf herself, must try to find a cure for her bloodlust before the next full moon, while hiding out in the rehab clinic from a relentless werewolf. Ginger Snaps Back, The Beginning. Set in 19th century Canada, Brigitte and her sister Ginger take refuge in a trader's fort, which later becomes under siege by some savage werewolves. Ginger Snaps Back. Godsend. A couple agree to have their deceased son cloned under the supervision of an enigmatic doctor, but bizarre things start to happen several years after his rebirth. Godsend. Action, drama, horror, and fantasy. Haunting Desires. After a young man is found dead with his puncture wounds in his neck, a reporter investigates a club called the Underworld, a private club that caters to sexual desires and fulfillment. Shallow Ground. A naked teenage boy covered in blood appears at a remote sheriff's station 1 year after the brutal, unsolved murder of a local girl. Horror and thriller. Shallow Ground. It's very creepy and scary. Check it out. Harvest of Fear. Who's killing the college students during the annual Harvest Festival? B Horror and Horror. Harvest of Fear. This movie was a scorcher. Halloween in West Hollywood. 2 guys making out in park are interrupted by a serial killer. Later that night, a group of gay kids decide to visit to the site of the murders. Hellbent. So this is going to have gay characters, gay cast, and it's fun. Check out Hellbent. Hellbreeder. 5 years ago, Alice's son was murdered. Every day is consumed with the need to find his killer. The arrival of a mysterious stranger leads Alice to suspect him to be the killer, and coincides with a renewed spate of horrific child murders. House of Nine. 9 strangers with no apparent connection between them are abducted, drugged, kidnapped, and sealed in a house together. Drama, horror, mystery, and thriller. House of Nine. This movie is great. Great dialogue, good acting, a lot of scary. Infection. Infection takes place in a dark, isolated hospital, where a doctor's mistake has led to dire consequences for a patient. Body horror, drama, horror, sci-fi. Infection. This is obviously Japanese, I think. Jack-o'-lantern. We love jack-o'-lantern. A violent spirit that manifests itself in the form of a jack-o'-lantern avenges people who have been wronged. Horror. Jack-o'-lantern. We love jack-o'-lantern. Michael Myers who? Jack Hammer. Jack Mangus is a successful businessman who periodically does drugs with his best friend Mike. When Mike takes some bad stuff, Jack panics and leaves him to die. Horror. The Jackhammer Massacre. This movie is good. Right. Jennifer's Shadow. Shaken by the recent unexpected death of her twin sister, Jennifer travels to Buenos Aires to execute the will and claim her inheritance. There she encounters her remarkably well-preserved grandmother, who might be hiding something. Lightning Bug. A drama thriller horror set in South about a young boy who longs to escape the misery of his childhood and the misunderstanding of his hometown. Lightning Bug. You'll like it. Very creepy. Madhouse. A young psychiatric intern unearths secrets about the mental health facility in which he works. Supernatural horror, and thriller. We love Madhouse. Malevolence. 10 years after the kidnapping of Martin Bristol, bank robbers hide in an isolated rural farmhouse where a serial killer lurks. I love it. I love it when the bad guys are being killed by a killer. Slasher horror crime. Malevolence. Mark of the Astro Zombies. This is a reinterpretation of Ted Mike's about his original creation of the Astro Zombies. Crime, horror, and sci-fi. Mark of the Astro Zombies. Kind of cheesy, but it's good. Mindhunters. A group of FBI trainees are taken to a remote island for simulation training. However, once there, they realize that they are being hunted by a serial killer who might be someone amidst them. Mindhunters. Monster Island. 6 friends went on vacation to the Bermuda Triangle and become trapped with only an MTV crew to help keep them alive. They have to rescue Carmen Electra, escape, while they all battle the monsters of Monster Island. Monsters Gone Wild. From classic monster kills to slashers to damsels in distress to wizards and creatures from other dimensions, there is never a dull moment in this compilation of over 18 full moon films. Monsters Gone Wild. Near Death. A random investigation leads to a horrifying discovery of murder and cannibalism when a team of ghost hunters enter the haunted home of famed director Willy von Braun. Night of the Living Dorks. 3 not-so-cool friends decide to try an old voodoo ritual. Later, they die in a car accident, but live on as zombies. But zombies have their price. Night Watch. A fantasy horror set in present-day Moscow where the respective forces that control daytime and nighttime do battle. Night Watch. Peter Rottennail, a doomed magician, makes a deal with dark forces which ends in tragedy. Soon he is back to exact his bloody revenge. Peter Rottennail, comedy and horror. Phantom Force. A squad of soldiers must protect the human race from the supernatural. Action, horror, sci-fi, and thriller. Phantom Force. This was made for TV movie. Satan's Little Helper. I love this movie. A naive young boy unknowingly becomes the pawn of a serial killer. Dark comedy, satire, and slasher horror. This movie is creepy and evil, but it's good. Puppet Master vs. Demonic Toys. A group of toy makers seek to use Andre Toulon's formula, now in the hands of Toulon's great-nephew, Robert, to give life to a line of killer toys that they plan to unleash on Christmas Eve. Resident Evil Apocalypse. Zombie horror. Alice wakes up in the Raccoon Hospital City after the area has been overrun by zombies and must now make it out of the city before a nuclear bomb is dropped. Retrograde. 2 time travelers with opposing views are sent back to the present aboard a research ship in the Antarctic to prevent a global biological disaster from occurring. I love time travel movies where you go to the future or you go to the past. Riding the bullet. When a man finds out that his mother is dying and tries to hitchhike his way to the hospital, he is picked up by a stranger with a deadly secret. Riding the Bullet by Stephen King. Very, very creepy and evil, but it's good. Ripper 2, Letter from Within. Sequel to the hugely successful Ripper, Letter from Hell. Slasher, horror, and sci-fi. And this is Ripper 2. Roma Santa. An uproar is caused when some mutilated cadavers are discovered, giving way to the legend of the Werewolf of Alaries. Supernatural horror, werewolf horror. Roma Santa. Saint Ang. Anna is a servant who accepts a post at the Saint Ang. She arrives to confront an unsettling lack of orphans, save for one. Then the bizarre sights and sounds begin, which seem to elude detection. Saint Ang. Salem's Lot. We love Salem's Lot. TV miniseries. Writer Ben Mears returns to his childhood home of Jerusalem's Lot and discovers that it is being terrorized by vampires. This was a TV miniseries in 2004. Satan's Schoolgirls. Straight to video. When a seemingly well-intentional father, Thomas, signs on for quite summer school sessions at a rustic school for girls in the country, he gets more than he bargained for. Satan's Schoolgirls. Savage Island. Julia and Steven attempt a romantic tropical weekend getaway to a secluded island only to find themselves killing to survive. The family that slays together stays together. Savage Island. Love Thy Neighbor. Saw. Two men awaken to find themselves on the opposite sides of a dead body, each with specific instructions to kill the other or face consequences. These two are the latest victims of the Jigsaw Killer. Splatter horror. Scarecrow gone wild. College mischief spins out of control, unleashing a horrifying scarecrow who terrorizes a resort down during spring break. Comedy horror. This was straight to video. Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. The Mystery Inc. gang must save Coolsville from an attack of their past monsters brought to life by an evil masked figure trying to take them down. Scooby-Doo 2. Seed of Chucky. Chucky and Tiffany are resurrected by their innocent gender-confused child, Glenda, and hit Hollywood, where a movie depicting their killer's doll's murder spree is underway. Seed of Chucky. Serial killing for dummies. When a disgruntled high school senior gets hassled for his lack of ambition, he decides to devote his energy into becoming a serial killer. He starts out with small until he meets the girl of his dreams who wants to be the first victim. Shallow Ground. A naked teenage boy covered in blood appears at a remote sheriff's station 1 year after the brutal unsolved murder of the local girl. Horror and thriller. Shallow Ground. Shark attack in the Mediterranean. When helicopter pilot Sven Hansen learns that a shark terrorizing the citizens of Mallorca is the same monster that killed his wife. Action, adventure, drama, and horror. Shark attack in the Mediterranean. Shaun of the Dead. The uneventful, aimless lives of a London electronic salesman and his flamboyant roommate are disrupted by the zombie apocalypse. Shower of Blood. 5 sexy college friends venture out on a road trip, never to return. We know how this is going to turn out. Shower of Blood. This was straight to video. Comedy and horror. We love Shower of Blood. Shudder. When Jane and Tun run over a girl in a car accident, they speed away immediately from the crime scene. I love it. However, Tun, a photographer, soon discovers strange shadows in his photos, which unsettle them. Good. She get revenge. Scarecrow or Dark Harvest 3. Terror strikes in the backwoods of Tennessee when an age-old curse resurfaces and takes revenge on a group of friends on a weekend getaway at a family cabin. Dark Harvest 3. Skeleton Man. A co-ed group of special forces agents search the wilderness for a predator-type creature that has been on a killing spree. Skin Deep. A family vacation is turned into a nightmare when they are abducted by a family of deranged killers in this Texas Chainsaw-style comedy sci-fi horror thriller. Skin Deep will not disappoint you. Snakehead Terror. A small town desperate to recover from hard economic times is under threat when voracious snakehead fish mutate and survive previous late chemical poisonings. Snakehead Terror. Action Adventure Horror. Species 3. As her species decays, succumbing to infections and illnesses, an alien seductress immunologically stronger becomes the only hope for them to live on. Species 3. Spider Forest. A recently widowed TV producer is drawn to an isolated cabin in a mysterious woods. That was Spider Forest. Next up we have is Starship Troopers 2, Hero of the Federation. In the sequel to Paul Warren's loved revival sci-film, a group of troopers take refuge in an abandoned outpost after fighting alien bugs. Action, horror, and adventure. Straight into Darkness. When two young American GIs desert their platoon in the final days of World War II, they will find themselves struggling against all odds to stay alive. Straight into Darkness. Suburban Nightmare. Charles and Deborah Rosenblatt are not your typical next-door neighbors. Despite the appearance of a loving all-American family, they are cannibalistic monsters. Suburban Nightmare will not disappoint. Suburban Sasquatch. When a giant bloodthirsty anthropoid goes on a killing spree in a sprawling suburban park area, it's up to the couple of strangers, a reporter and a mystery Native American warrior to stop it. Tales from the Crapper. A horror anthology that contains 2 chilling tales set up by the Crap Keeper. Parody, satire, slapstick, comedy, and horror. Tales from the Crapper. I love that title. Tears of Kali. A creepy 3-part anthology which is actually constructed from a trio of German-produced independent short films that form a narrative around a mysterious cult in 1983. Tears of Kali. The Birthday. Norman, a young man, is very much in love with his girlfriend, attends her father's birthday party held in a hotel where a sect happens to be preparing for the birth of God it worships. The Birthday. The Bloodletting. I saw this movie. This movie was bad. It was awful. For Amanda, Dieter, and her friends, life seems to be going great until one night when they cross paths with a mysterious vagrant who warns them a terrible evil is coming. The acting was just really, really bad. Just so bad, like high school actors. The Doll Master, sorry. I can't read. 5 people are invited to a remote doll museum, and one by one they are mysteriously killed. I love it. The survivors find out the truth. Dolls have spirits. The Halfway House. Young girls are disappearing in and around the Mary Magdalene halfway house for troubled girls. Desperate to find out what became of her sister, Larissa Morgan goes undercover to infiltrate the Catholic-run institution. The Hazing. Several college kids spend the night in a spooky mansion in an attempt to pledge fraternities and sororities. A deranged professor begins murdering them. The Hazing. Supernatural horror and teen horror. The Hollow. I love The Hollow. After the local ghost story is told to a pre-Halloween crowd, the eve's full of pranks and teenagers disappear at the graveyard. It continues on Halloween. Is the legend true? The Hollow. We love The Hollow. The Unborn. After waking up in a hospital to discover that she has been pregnant for 10 weeks, a drug addict begins to experience wild hallucinations. The Unborn. Next up we have is The Forgotten. After being told that their children never existed, a man and woman soon discover there is a much bigger enemy at work. Drama, mystery, sci-fi, and thriller. The Forgotten. The Grudge. Supernatural horror, one of the scariest films of 2004. An American nurse living and working in Tokyo is exposed to a mysterious supernatural curse. The Grudge and The Ring were two of the scariest films out of Japan in the early mid-2000s. The Hollow. This was straight to TV. Again, people are disappearing based on the legend of Sleepy Hollow. Check out this movie. I liked it. It's kind of creepy and gory, but it was a made-for-TV movie. So check out The Hollow. The Mailman. Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes. Pray you are not on his route. I love it. A cunning psychopath with more than an axe to grind replaces the kindly mailman in a small place suburban beach town. Horror town. They Are Among Us. The film is about a town that is populated by aliens who have been pretending to be human for a long time in order to steal the Earth's resources they need to live when the time comes. They Are Among Us. Sci-fi and thriller. Ivolenko, a disgraced communist schoolteacher in Kiev, despite based on the crimes of Andrei Chelakio. There we go. There's that one. Tomb of the Werewolf. Pre-credit opening sequence consists of Countess making a pact with the devil in exchange for eternal youth and beauty from sacrificing young, nubile virgin women. Tomb of the Werewolf. Toolbox Murders. I love this movie. A historic Hollywood hotel houses a supernatural evil. It's been subdued for decades, but when renovations start, a series of murders take place. Toolbox Murders. We love it. Torched. Deanna, a young, pretty, and upwardly mobile nurse, is about to face the most difficult challenge of her life. Deciding whether 5 men should live or die. Torched. This was straight to video. Tremors 4, The Legend Begins. A prequel to Tremors in 1990, this movie tells about the hometown of the Perfection. Nevada becomes founded and now has been defended against graboids. Zombie Nation. A psychotic police officer who murders his female arrestees get what's coming to him when with a horde of zombified women rise and their graves seek revenge. Out for Blood. A police detective is investigating some mysterious disappearances and uncovers a horrible truth. Action, fantasy, horror, and thriller. Out for Blood. This was straight to video. Sometimes they're good movies, sometimes they're just really crappy. Van Helsing. I love Van Helsing. The famed monster hunter is sent to Transylvania to stop Count Dracula, who is using Dr. Frankenstein's research and a werewolf for nefarious purposes. So this is all under the guise. White Skin. 2 roommates discover that the family of one of their girlfriends is populated with vampires. La Peau Blanche, or White Skin. And last one we have is Zombie Planet. An enzyme has the unfortunate side effect of making its teen subjects crave human flesh. As the killer disease overwhelms the whole population, the government and rich turn their back on humanity and retreat into protected wall cities. Zombie Planet. Those were all the films of the year 2004, the scariest films of 2004. Let me know what were some of your favorites that you remember from 2004. What were some of your worst movies that came out that year from this list? Do you remember any of these movies? How many of these movies have you watched? I would say out of this entire list, I probably watched like 88 to 90%. Other ones I just couldn't find. But if they're good, I'm going to tell you if they're good. If they're corny and cheesy, I will tell you that they're corny and cheesy. We had a lot of good types of monster movies, though, in the year 2004. Alright, I'm Tony. Thanks for joining me. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, leave them below. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon. Next up, we're going to have the best horror films in the year 2005. Alright, I'll see you folks in the next video.